Imagine you are floating in a spacesuit, your safety tether suddenly snapping without warning. At first, you barely notice it. The spacecraft is only a few meters away, drifting silently against the endless black. You reach out instinctively, expecting to grab hold again. But there is nothing. No air to push against. No ground beneath your feet. No way to stop yourself. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the ship begins to shrink. It becomes a small shape against the stars. Then, a tiny white dot. Then just another point of light among thousands. Within minutes, you can't even tell which star was your only way home. There is no sound, no rushing wind, no scream echoing into the darkness. Space is completely silent. You hear only your own breathing inside your helmet and the steady rhythm of your heartbeat. Every second that passes feels heavier than the last. And here's the terrifying part. You are not falling. Your brain expects the sensation of falling, but it never comes. There is no up, no down, no horizon. You are simply drifting, carried forever by the tiny amount of speed you had the instant your tether broke. In space, there is no air to slow you down, no friction to steal your momentum. Newton's first law has become your prison, and physics doesn't care whether you survive. At first, the view is almost unbelievably beautiful. The stars don't twinkle like they do from Earth. They burn with sharp, crystal clarity against the perfect darkness. Earth hangs behind you like a glowing blue marble, wrapped in a paper-thin blanket of light. For one brief moment, it feels peaceful, almost magical, like you've been allowed to witness a secret that only a handful of astronauts have ever seen. Then reality begins to settle in. Your spacesuit contains only about 10 hours of oxygen. Every breath you take is one breath closer to nothing. Every heartbeat is a countdown. The silence that felt calming only moments ago suddenly becomes unbearable because it means something horrifying. No one is coming. There is no rescue ship waiting just over the horizon. There is no horizon. There is only an endless ocean of darkness stretching farther than the human mind can truly understand. And this is only the beginning. The first instinct is to fight it. You kick your legs. You wave your arms. You twist your body, hoping somehow you'll change direction. But every movement only spins you slightly. It doesn't bring you back. In the vacuum of space, your muscles are useless without something to push against. You are no longer in control. You are simply another object obeying the laws of physics. Now imagine something even worse. Your suit develops a tiny leak, not a dramatic explosion, not shattered glass or flying debris, just a hole no bigger than a pinhead. You probably wouldn't even notice it at first. But the vacuum outside notices immediately. If your suit were ever completely breached, the pressure surrounding your body would disappear almost instantly. Within seconds, the moisture on your tongue would begin to boil. Tears covering your eyes would bubble away, not because they're hot, but because there is no pressure left to keep water in its liquid form. This terrifying process is known as embolism. Contrary to what Hollywood often shows, your body wouldn't explode. Your blood would remain inside your veins because your skin and blood vessels are strong enough to contain it. But every exposed surface of your body would begin fighting a losing battle against absolute vacuum. The human body evolved beneath Earth's atmosphere. Every cell depends on pressure. Take that pressure away, and biology starts breaking down with frightening speed. Within about 10 to 15 seconds, your brain would run dangerously low on oxygen. Your vision would begin narrowing. Colors would fade. Your thoughts would become slow and confused. Consciousness itself would start slipping away. This isn't just theory. During decompression accidents in space testing facilities, survivors have reported feeling the saliva on their tongues suddenly bubbling before they lost consciousness. Some blacked out in less than 15 seconds. Those few who were repressurized quickly survived. Wait much longer, and recovery becomes impossible. Now imagine there is no rescue chamber waiting, no emergency crew, no one racing towards you, only endless darkness. And somehow, that's still not the worst part. Because let's imagine your suit never fails. Let's imagine every system keeps working perfectly. You keep breathing. You stay alive for another day, then another, then another. That's when the true horror begins. Not the fast kind, the slow kind. The kind measured not in minutes, but in years. Days pass, but nothing changes. There are no sunsets, no sunrises, no weather, no sounds except the steady hiss of your life support system and your own breathing. Time loses its meaning because every direction looks exactly the same. Space isn't empty the way a desert is empty. A desert still has a horizon. Space has nothing. Nothing to measure distance against. Nothing to remind you that you're moving. And yet, you are. The tiny burst of speed you had when your tether snapped is still carrying you forward. There are no brakes in space. No invisible force waiting to slow you down. Unless gravity from another massive object captures you, your journey simply continues. Forever. You could drift for 1,000 years and never come close to another planet. 10,000 years and still miss every star. The average distance between stars is so unimaginably vast that your chances of accidentally reaching one are almost zero. Interstellar space is one of the emptiest places ever discovered. Every second carries you deeper into a darkness that has no end. But empty doesn't mean safe. Far beyond Earth's magnetic field, the invisible shield that has protected life for billions of years, another danger begins to reveal itself. Cosmic radiation. On Earth, our planet quietly absorbs or deflects most of these deadly particles before they ever reach us. We never notice them. Out here, there is nothing standing between you and the universe. High-energy particles fired from exploding stars, neutron stars, and even distant black holes race through space at nearly the speed of light. They don't care that you're wearing a spacesuit. Many of them pass straight through metal, plastic, and even human tissue. Apollo astronauts reported something strange during their journeys to the moon. Even with their eyes closed, they occasionally saw bright flashes of light. Those flashes weren't dreams. They were cosmic rays passing directly through their eyes and optic nerves. Now imagine seeing those flashes every single day, not for a 3-day lunar mission, not for 6 months aboard the International Space Station, but for the rest of your existence. Each invisible particle tears through your DNA like microscopic bullets. Your cells desperately try to repair the damage, but the attacks never stop. Eventually, the damage overwhelms every defense your body has, and the radiation is only the beginning. Even if radiation somehow didn't kill you, your own body would slowly begin turning against itself. Human beings were built for gravity. Every heartbeat, every step, every movement you've ever made has depended on the constant pull of Earth beneath your feet. Remove that force, and your body starts forgetting how to be human. Within just a few days, your bones begin losing calcium. They no longer need to support your weight, so your body quietly starts breaking them down. Week after week, they become weaker and more brittle. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station spend hours exercising every single day just to slow this process. And they're still protected by doctors, advanced equipment, and Earth's magnetic field. You have none of those things. Your muscles shrink from disuse. Your legs, once capable of carrying you across mountains and cities, become thin and powerless. Your arms weaken. Even your neck begins losing strength because it no longer has to fight gravity. Then your heart begins to change. On Earth, it constantly works against gravity to push blood from your feet back toward your brain. In deep space, that struggle disappears. The heart slowly adapts to an easier job. It grows weaker, smaller, less capable. If you ever return to Earth, which you won't, it might not even be strong enough to keep you alive. Your immune system also begins to fail. Scientists have discovered that long-duration spaceflight changes the way immune cells behave. Viruses that have remained dormant inside astronauts' bodies can reactivate under the stress of space. Your body's natural defenses slowly lose the battle, not because of one catastrophic event, but because every system begins wearing down together. And all the while, your oxygen supply continues counting down. 9 hours, 6 hours, 3. Every breath becomes more precious than the last. The suit's display doesn't panic. It simply reports the numbers with perfect indifference. Machines don't understand fear. Eventually, the warning alarms begin. The oxygen level drops below the point where survival is possible. Each inhale delivers less than the one before. Carbon dioxide starts building inside your bloodstream. Your breathing becomes faster. Your heart races, desperately trying to squeeze the last molecules of oxygen into your starving brain. Then dizziness arrives. Your vision starts fading around the edges. Your thoughts become slower, softer, distant. You don't feel yourself drifting anymore. You don't feel much of anything. The last thing you hear is your own breathing, becoming quieter until it stops altogether. But your journey doesn't. The moment your breathing stops, space becomes even quieter. Your heart beats a few final times before surrendering to the vacuum. Consciousness disappears long before your body does. There is no dramatic final scream, no explosion, no heroic ending. One instant you're aware of the endless darkness around you. The next, there is nothing. But your body keeps moving, exactly as Newton's first law predicted. Without engines, without life, without purpose, you continue drifting through interstellar space at the same speed forever. You are no longer an astronaut. You are no longer a survivor. You have become another object traveling through the universe, no different from a frozen rock or an abandoned spacecraft. And then something strange happens. Nothing. Days pass, years pass, centuries pass. Your body doesn't decay the way it would on Earth. There is no oxygen-feeding bacteria, no insects, no scavengers, no rain, no wind, no soil. The microscopic organisms that normally break down human remains simply cannot survive out here. If you're close to the sun, harsh ultraviolet radiation slowly damages the outer layers of your suit and exposed materials. But far from any star, where sunlight becomes almost non-existent, the cold preserves far more than it destroys. Your body gradually freezes solid. Every drop of water trapped inside your tissues becomes ice. Your spacesuit stiffens. Your visor grows dark. Time seems to stop, not because it actually does, but because nothing changes anymore. You become a silent monument to a civilization that once reached for the stars. Millions of years could pass, and you would still be there, tumbling, slowly, silently, completely alone. Scientists believe that in the near vacuum of deep interstellar space, where almost nothing happens, an object can remain remarkably unchanged for extraordinary lengths of time. Your frozen body could survive longer than mountains on Earth, longer than entire species, longer than human history itself. Imagine civilizations rising and falling while you continue drifting, languages disappearing, countries vanishing, continents reshaping. Even humanity itself could one day become extinct. Yet somewhere between the stars, your frozen figure would still be moving through the darkness, untouched by history, carrying with it the final moments of a species that once believed the universe was waiting to be explored. But the true scale of your journey is even harder to comprehend. To understand just how alone you are, you have to think bigger than your brain was ever meant to think. The nearest star to our sun is Proxima Centauri, more than 4 light years away. That sounds manageable until you remember what a light year actually is. Light, the fastest thing the universe allows, traveling at nearly 300,000 kilometers every second, still needs more than 4 years to get there. Now compare that to you. You have no engine, no fuel, no way to accelerate. Even if you were somehow drifting as fast as Voyager 1, the fastest spacecraft humanity has ever sent into deep space, you still wouldn't come close to another star within a human lifetime. Voyager 1 has been traveling through space for nearly half a century. It races through the darkness at roughly 38,000 miles per hour, faster than any aircraft ever built, faster than a rifle bullet by an unimaginable margin. And yet, it still hasn't truly escaped the sun's gravitational influence. At that incredible speed, Voyager would need over 70,000 years just to reach the nearest star system. 70,000 years. Longer than all of recorded human civilization. Longer than the pyramids have existed by more than 10 times. And you, without propulsion, you would probably be moving far slower. Worse still, you might not even be traveling toward another star at all. You could be heading into a region of space where nothing larger than a grain of dust exists for millions of billions of kilometers. Imagine drifting longer than humanity has existed, and still finding absolutely nothing. No planets, no moons, no passing comets. No alien civilizations waiting to rescue you. Only distance. Distance so enormous that even numbers begin to lose their meaning. This is the reality of interstellar space. Movies often fill it with asteroid fields, colorful nebulae, and constant danger. Reality is far more unsettling. Between the stars lies one of the emptiest environments ever measured. A single cubic centimeter of interstellar space can contain fewer than one atom. Not one molecule. One atom. There are stretches of the galaxy where you could travel for thousands of years without passing anything large enough to cast a shadow. You wouldn't crash into a planet. You wouldn't fall into a black hole. You wouldn't even hit an asteroid. You would simply continue. Silently. Endlessly. A single frozen point of matter crossing a universe so unimaginably vast that it never even notices you were there. And somehow, even that isn't the saddest part. Let's imagine the impossible happens. After millions of years drifting through the darkness, gravity from a distant star finally catches you. Slowly, almost invisibly, your path begins to curve. For the first time since your tether snapped, something in the universe notices your existence. Not because it cares, but because gravity affects everything. Ahead, a new solar system begins to take shape. A pale star grows brighter. Frozen worlds circle in the distance. Gas giants shimmer beneath swirling clouds. Rocky planets trace silent paths around their sun. Against odds so small they are almost meaningless, you've finally reached somewhere. But by now, Earth is gone. Not the planet, perhaps, but the Earth you knew. Millions of years have passed. Every city has crumbled into dust. Every language has disappeared. Every nation has become a forgotten chapter buried beneath geological time. Every person who ever loved you. Every friend who laughed with you. Every family member who searched for you. Every child who learned your name in school. Every astronaut who hoped you would somehow be found. They're all gone. Generations have risen and vanished so many times that even the idea of your civilization has become impossible to imagine. If intelligent life still exists on Earth, it may no longer even be human. And if humanity disappeared long ago, then no one remains who could remember that one astronaut was ever lost between the stars. Your name survives nowhere. No photographs, no memorials, no history books, nothing. You have outlived not just your family, not just your country, but your entire species. You don't become a legend. You don't become a mystery. You become something far more ordinary. Debris. A frozen object drifting through space with no greater importance than a piece of ancient rock. The universe doesn't separate heroes from dust. It treats everything exactly the same. Stars explode without witnesses. Galaxies collide whether anyone is watching or not. Black holes consume light itself without celebration. The cosmos never pauses to ask who deserved to survive. It simply continues. Second after second. Million year after million year. Completely indifferent to every hope, every dream, and every life that has ever existed. And perhaps that's the hardest truth to accept. Not that space is evil. Not that it wants to kill you. But that it never needed to notice you in the first place. The universe is not cruel. Cruelty requires intention. It requires the ability to choose suffering over mercy. The universe has neither. It doesn't hate you. It doesn't fear you. It doesn't even know you're there. It simply exists. For nearly 14 billion years, stars have been born from collapsing clouds of gas. They have burned for millions, sometimes billions, of years before exploding into supernovas powerful enough to outshine entire galaxies. Black holes have swallowed stars without making a sound. Galaxies have collided in slow motion dances lasting hundreds of millions of years. And all of it happened long before humanity ever looked up at the night sky. Our entire civilization is only a brief moment in the lifetime of the cosmos. Everything we've ever built, every city, every empire, every language, every invention, exists on a fragile world, wrapped in a layer of air only a few miles thick. That invisible atmosphere protects us from deadly radiation, gives us pressure to breathe, keeps liquid water on our skin, and makes life possible. We rarely think about it because it has always been there. But the moment you step beyond that thin blue shell, the rules change. Space doesn't attack you. It simply stops protecting you. There is no air waiting for your next breath. No warmth waiting for your body. No gravity waiting to catch your fall. Only the silent laws of physics, continuing exactly as they always have. Maybe that's why astronauts often describe seeing Earth from orbit as life-changing. From space, national borders disappear. Wars disappear. The problems that consume our lives become invisible. All that remains is a tiny blue world, glowing alone in an ocean of darkness. Home. Perhaps the safest place for hundreds of trillions of miles. So the next time you look up at the stars, remember this. The night sky isn't just beautiful. It's a reminder of how incredibly rare your existence really is. You were born on one small planet, orbiting one ordinary star, in one ordinary galaxy among hundreds of billions more. Every breath you take depends on conditions so perfectly balanced that, as far as we know, they exist almost nowhere else. The universe was never built with rescue in mind. It was never built with us in mind at all. And maybe that's the most terrifying realization of all. Not that space wants to kill you, but that if you disappeared into the endless darkness tonight, the universe would simply keep going, as though you were never there.